After a roller coaster of a 2023 regular season, many didn't know what to make of the Kansas City Chiefs heading into the postseason. While they were the league's most talked about team, most of these headlines came from their tight end Travis Kelce's relationship with pop megastar Taylor Swift rather than the team's performance on the field. However, in the playoffs, they proved that the team's core is able to flip the switch when their backs are against the wall, putting on a very impressive run through the postseason that culminated in a Super Bowl win over the San Francisco 49ers. With Kansas City winning their second straight Super Bowl in 2023, they now have a chance to make history and become the first team in the Super Bowl era to win 3 straight. Today, we'll take a deep dive into the Chiefs roster and their performance so far through the season to answer the question of if they have what it takes to make history. The Chiefs offense is of course led by Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes is the greatest quarterback of this current generation, and he's well on pace to give Tom Brady a run for his money in the GOAT conversation. 3 weeks into the season, he's gotten off to an out-of-character start. While he has thrown for a respectable 659 yards and 5 touchdowns, he's already thrown 4 interceptions. For reference, he only threw 14 picks through the entirety of the 2023 regular season. Despite the slow start to the year, there's no doubt that when the heat's turned up during the playoffs, Mahomes will go on to once again prove why he's looked at as one of the most talented to ever play the position. Currently, the Chiefs' running back room is one of the biggest holes on their roster. While Isaiah Pacheco was holding it down, he suffered a broken fibula that left him on the IR and is expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks. In his absence, Carson Steele has taken over the starting role. While he's still a very unproven rookie, his 3.8 yards per carry are a promising sign that he'll be able to at the very least be serviceable until Pacheco is able to make a return to action. Injuries have also had an effect on the Chiefs' receiving core. One of their most highly anticipated signings, Marquise Hollywood Brown, was expected to have a career year with Mahomes as his quarterback. However, he's yet to be able to suit up for a game and is expected to miss the remainder of the season due to a dislocated SC joint. Despite the absence of Brown, the Chiefs still feature a high-speed duo of receivers in Rashid Rice and Xavier Worthy. Mahomes is able to raise the ceiling of any receiver he shares the field with and won a Super Bowl last season with Rice as his #1 target. There is no doubt that this receiving core is more than capable of being enough for Mahomes to win another ring with. At tight end, the veteran Travis Kelce continues to build on his already Hall of Fame caliber resume. He's had a rough start to the season, only mustering 8 catches for 69 yards through the first 3 games of the year. However, he's another player who has proven himself as an extremely reliable target in the playoffs, and this slow start to the year should not be much cause for concern. The Chiefs have one of the best offensive lines in the league, with Pro Football Focus ranking them as the 7th best unit heading into Week 4. Headed by an elite trio of Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith, the front 5 of the Chiefs are one of the most underrated units in this elite offense. Currently, the Chiefs rank middle of the pack in both passing and rushing offense. Heading into Week 4, they come in at 12th in passing yards, 6th in passing touchdowns, 15th in rushing yards, and 13th in rushing touchdowns. If last season was any catalyst, a slow start from this offense means nothing, and they're an offense that only improves as the season goes on. Comparing these to their 2023 ranks, the Chiefs ranked much higher in passing yards, finishing the season ranked 6th, while they're on pace to finish 2024 higher in passing touchdowns. On the ground, they've gotten off to a much better start. Last season, they were below average in both rushing yards and rushing touchdowns, ranking 19th and 26th respectively. Even though they've not looked elite by any means on offense, as the season continues to play out, Kansas City will continue to heighten their level of play as we get closer and closer to the playoffs. However, on the defensive side of the ball, Kansas City has been much more concerning. While they've been tasked with taking on elite quarterbacks in Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow in 2 of their first 3 games, they come in at 28th in the league in passing yards allowed and 17th in passing touchdowns allowed. This is night and day compared to how they performed last season, ranking 4th in the league in both metrics. While they've defended against the run much better than the pass, they still rank slightly above league average in both yards and touchdowns allowed, ranking 13th and 9th respectively. As they continue to play against teams with less dominant offenses than the Bengals and the Ravens, these numbers will continue to improve for the offense. Last season, they were one of the best defensive units in the league, and with them running it back with nearly the same lineup, there shouldn't be anywhere near this big of a drop-off come season's end. On special teams, the Chiefs have one of the best kicking duos in the league. While both have had their fair share of controversy, their on-the-field results are undeniable. Thus far through the season, kicker Harrison Butker has been near perfect. He's not missed a single field goal, knocking down his one attempt from within 20 yards, going 1 for 1 from 20 to 29 yards, 2 for 2 on kicks between 30 and 39 yards, 1 for 1 kicking from 40 to 49 yards, and making both of his attempts from 50 plus yards out. Currently, his long for the year is 53 yards, but he's proven in the past that he's capable of making kicks from 62 yards out. He's only missed 1 of his 7 attempted extra points so far this season, and there's a chance that by the time the season comes to an end, this still stands as the only extra point he misses. Throughout his 8 years and 3 Super Bowl wins with the Chiefs, Butker has been tasked with nailing some of the most high-pressure kicks in recent history, including a 29-yard kick with only 3 seconds left in the fourth quarter in the Super Bowl to send the game to overtime. Having a weapon like Butker is absolutely priceless for Kansas City. In many of their playoff games, it comes down to the wire where every point matters, and many times Butker is tasked with keeping them in the game, if not outright winning games for them. He's still playing some of the best football of his career, and there's no doubt he will continue to come up huge for Kansas City whenever he's called upon. At punter, the Chiefs brought in Matt Araiza. Araiza was one of the most hyped-up punting prospects when he joined the league in the 2022 NFL Draft. While punters are hardly ever drafted and left to be signed onto teams as undrafted free agents, the Buffalo Bills snatched up Araiza in the 6th round. He's currently averaging 50.1 yards per punt, with half of his punts ending up inside of the 20-yard line. If it comes down to it, Araiza is capable of completely flipping the field. His longest punt in his short NFL career coming in at 82 yards in a preseason game with the Bills. While their rankings may not look the most pretty, the Chiefs have done what it has taken to win games. Heading into Week 4, they currently post a record of 3-0, taking down the Ravens in Week 1 by a final score of 27-20, the Bengals in Week 2 26-25, and most recently the Atlanta Falcons 22-17. None of these wins have been pretty by any means, and if they keep this up for the remainder of the season, they're going to give a fair amount of their fan base heart attacks. However, they're a proven team who have proved that they're capable of flipping the switch when games begin to truly matter. The fact that they're able to do just enough to win this early in the season is a promising sign. Most teams coming off back-to-back Super Bowl wins suffer from some type of hangover early in the season and get the year off to a rough start. However, while these games for Kansas City haven't been pretty by any means, they've been doing enough to get by with a win. While they'll by no means be even close to undefeated by the end of the regular season, if they're able to continue picking up wins, they could potentially clinch the top seed in the AFC early enough to allow their veteran core to get a week or 2 of rest before ramping things up in the playoffs. The Kansas City Chiefs have proven year after year that they have the it factor that a team must have to win a Super Bowl. They have a magical way of digging themselves out of holes and putting together masterful comebacks that seem impossible. Having the best quarterback in the league paired with what should be an elite defensive core is a recipe for success in the NFL. Last season, even after a rough regular season, they were able to flip the switch in the postseason and take one of the toughest roads to a Super Bowl in recent history, being forced to take down the Miami Dolphins, Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens, and San Francisco 49ers. While not all of their wins are pretty, at the end of the day, winning is what the Chiefs do. They still have a very difficult schedule in front of them, taking on 6 teams that made the playoffs last season in their final 14 games. However, barring any massive changes, they'll without a doubt win the AFC West division and have an automatic spot in the playoffs. Once they secure their spot in the postseason, Kansas City has proven time and again that they're able to make anything happen. They'll have a tough road in front of them, with the AFC being absolutely loaded for another season. Anything can happen in the playoffs, and if 1 or 2 plays happen differently, Kansas City could have fallen to the Bills, Ravens, or 49ers. However, the Chiefs have the pieces and experience necessary to make history and become the first team in the Super Bowl era to ever win the championship 3 times in a row. If Mahomes is able to lead his team to 3 straight Super Bowl wins, it may be time to have some very uncomfortable conversations about where he stands in the GOAT talks.